Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Top Billers Toolkit, where me and my twin brother interview top billers from all around the globe to unlock the secrets to their success. Today's guest is Luke Cotterell, our first ever Aussie top biller. Luke spent 15 years in the construction industry, and out of nowhere, he lost his job. He had a 1-year-old at home, he had barely any income, and he was basically backed into a corner. And from that, almost by accident, he landed in recruitment, and fast forward a few years, he's now making $100K per month in fees. This is such an amazing episode, guys, because it has literally everything you would want in a good podcast episode. It's raw, it's real, it goes through all the struggles and the pivotal moment that Luke's had in his business and throughout recruitment. And we also go into the tangible tips and tricks, how he wins clients, how he wins candidates, how he's niched to site managers to become one of the best recruiters in his space, and how he only works about 6 hours a day, which is pretty insane. Honestly, guys, Luke is such a top bloke. He's super honest, he's real, and he just put it all on a plate for us to learn from. Enjoy this episode because it's a good one. As usual, grab a cuppa or a glass of wine, depending on when you're listening to this, and let's get into it, shall we? Wait a second, guys. Quick question for you. If you could land a new client on LinkedIn in the next couple of weeks, how much would that be worth to you? 20, 30, maybe 40K? Well, we have a pretty crazy offer on right now. If you are a recruitment business owner, then we will work with you for free and write you 2 posts at absolutely no cost. And here's the cool part. Other recruiters that have come through this free trial have managed to win new clients. They've racked up hundreds of thousands of impressions and started conversations with top-tier candidates. It's completely risk-free, so you have nothing to lose and everything to gain. If you're interested, the link's in the description below. If not, no worries. We hope you enjoy the podcast. See you later. Luke, thank you so much for coming on Top Billers Toolkit. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing really well, man. Cheers for having me on.
Awesome. For those of you that don't know, Luke is from Aussie, so it's a little bit later in the day for him, but it's awesome to have I don't think we've ever had an Aussie guest on, Sam, have we? No, I think you're the first.
No,
You're the first Aussie guest, Luke.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah, so welcome. Congratulations.
Oh, thanks. That's good.
Yeah, awesome. So I'm going to jump into the first question, which is, what's the number one tool in your toolkit, whether it be a mindset, strategy, or software?
I reckon relationships is probably the number one tool in my toolkit. I reckon having relationships that I've built, from 15 years in the industry that I recruit in, I think having access to that and trust that's already established is the best thing that could happen to me as a recruiter, to be honest.
Interesting. And can you elaborate, Luke? Why is relationships? I mean, I think I know why, but I'd love to hear from you. Like, why did you choose relationships?
I think because when you've got relationships there, you don't have to look for clients. You've already got clients. You've already got candidates. Like when you know someone and they know that you've got their best interests in mind, rather than someone that's just another sales call to them or another recruiter on the phone. When they know who you are and what you're about, and you've got a solution to their problem, that they already like you've already got it in the bag, really. Like, there's no questioning, like, "Oh, we'll see how this goes," or, "Can we trust him?" It's a done deal already.
Interesting. Love that. And I'm guessing in terms of building relationships, Luke, I think we're going to get into this and how you're so good at building relationships and what you do. But I'd love to jump into the second question, which is around your experience. So just to give people context listening, Luke went from 100K a year in construction to now doing 100K months in recruitment. So he's had this crazy journey of working in construction, still earning a decent wage, but now like just earning that per month, which is insane. Luke, can you tell us where it all started and how you got to this point? Can you give us like a summary of your journey, if that's okay?
Yeah, sure. I'll get into it, really, like, how I pretty much left construction, got into recruitment and everything. So I started off when I was, about 14. Got out of school and got a job, and I wasn't really, the best at school. I was, a bit of a problem child there, but I was always really good, like, with, results and that. But I was just a bit bored, to be honest, in class. So all my mates are a little bit older. I used to hang out with a lot of my brother's friends. So, they all had jobs and they were finishing year 12 and that. So I ended up just getting a job and left school and, I was already knew all the stuff I suppose you needed, like how to add and divide and that, and that's what worked well. So I, got into carpentry and stuff like that. And that just was really a foot into the building industry. And, I did pretty much everything over the teen years into my early 20s, from like carpentry to painting to, concrete pumping.
Mm.
Um, and that just gave me such a lot of knowledge being on the tools, doing a lot of that stuff, even like, sheeting drywall and, pretty much building a house bit by bit, like I did a bit of everything. So then after that, I suppose you get to a point where you go, "What am I doing with my life?" On the tools, I wanna study and I wanna work in the office, or something like that. So I started doing like a drafting course and, being young, didn't really see it through. And then I ended up getting a entry level estimating position. Like, I think you guys over there would call it like quantity surveying or something, like,
Mm,
adding,
yeah.
quoting jobs. So I got into that, which was a good foot in the door for the office, and that taught me so much, like, taught me how to, quote jobs, how to negotiate, um, gave me a bigger understanding of how, how a house, is built in, on the scale of things with contracts and things like that. So once I had a bit of experience in that, I, got into like a proper estimating for a builder, so it wasn't just sort of niched into one little area of the build. And um, started doing production estimating, which was really good. So I was the one sending out things for quotes to suppliers and trades, and um, that pretty much taught me like how to build a house, like with like how a contract's out, like with the stages of, getting land settled and,
Mhm.
getting your set outs, everything like from expression of interest right to handover of a home. I learnt the process. So that was good. And then I just got experience doing that over the years. And then I got into like contracts administration on, like commercial developments, which was good. So instead of just doing houses, I was doing townhouses and, low rise sort of, units and things like that. So I got a lot more experience, how to manage a job, how to manage a project, how to, manage a contract, variations, extensions of time. So I pretty much learned how to run these jobs. And over the years, again, like building relationships with suppliers, with trades, you're talking to them every day and sending them purchase orders and answering questions and that. Um, Working for various builders, I would, you're learning, like, building relationships with site managers and site supervisors, foremen. Then you see them go to other jobs, and then you might end up at another builder, and you sort of know the same people. You know someone that knows someone. So being in that industry on that side just was really good to learn everything about building, and I think that's what makes me today like, without tooting my own horn, I think that's what makes me a good construction recruiter, because I know firsthand what the problems some of these guys have, and when they're saying they're sick of this or sick of that, I can really relate to them and I understand. Like, that might just sound like whinging to someone else, but to me, I go, "Oh, that is a big deal for somebody," so that's, pretty much how I learnt a lot of the construction. And then I ended up losing my job, fast forwarding to about, a couple of years ago, I lost my job. I was working at a company that was a little bit dodgy and got into it one night, over email with a construction manager. And, I think I, might have hurt his ego a little bit or something, because I just rocked up at work the next day and got a termination notice thrown at me,
Wow.
which was pretty full on, because at the time, this is interest rates were going nuts. We just had a baby, and she just turned 1, and we just started noticing some stuff going wrong with her as well,
Wow.
with her development.
Mm,
So we were like, "Oh, what's going on here?" So it was a horrible time. And then
mm.
after all that, I lose my job, and I actually drove around town for about 3 hours, without talking to my wife. I just didn't know what to say or how to break that news with, going through everything we were going through. Um,
Wow.
so that was crazy. And then I guess the biggest thing for me then was I got to find a job. So I was looking for jobs and applying for jobs. I'm ringing all these recruiters, and nobody's answering the phone. And I'm like, what's going on here? Like, this is like crazy. Like, I could do this, I could do that. Like, I could start tomorrow.
Mm,
I got more than the experience. I had pretty good tenure. So like, I didn't think it was me. Like, I'm like, what's going on? Like, I could, this guy could hire me tomorrow, or interview, like, "Oh, I'm ready to roll," like, and no one was just getting back to me, or you'd get someone and they're just going into a meeting and you're like,
Wow.
"Whoa, like, what are you guys doing?" Like, and I ended up having one recruiter call me back, and he ended up getting me a role, like, the next day. It was a couple of minutes down the road of my house, which was awesome. I'm like, "Wow, this is great." Um, and I started work there, and week 1, we came to a bit of a halt with things that were going on with my daughter, so I couldn't be the person they needed me to be at the time, and to be honest, I was like, "I gotta just drop everything in life right now, and we gotta
Mm,
see what's going on here with my daughter." So I left that, and over the next, I suppose, couple of weeks, where I was, we had a bit of a legal settlement, so I got a bit of a, payout there. It wasn't much, just sort of like paying me to my entitlements and stuff like that.
yeah.
So that bought me a little bit of time. It bought me about a month to figure out what was going on while, we were attending to what was happening with the young one. Um, and then, I can't remember what else happened after that. Then I was just sort of in a point mindset where I was like, "Oh, like, I don't care if we lose the house or, you can fix all
Wow.
that in life, you can get your
Mm,
credit back right, you can get another house, all that." They're like, the daughter's number 1 priority now.
yeah.
And,
100%.
um, so I bought myself about a month with that payout, and then, after that, I got a bit of a back payment for, like, a tax benefit or something like that. That was, being unemployed at the time, and I didn't realize I could have been claiming something as well with what my wife and I were earning with a child, so I got a bit of a back pay. That bought me another month, and then I was still like, "Okay, I'm not worried about work, we're still sorting out this," and then my wife ended up winning some, like, competition and got, like, a $5,000, like, EFTPOS card, and I was like, "Something's
Mhm.
going on here," like, things just don't line up like this
Yeah,
probably.
interesting.
Mm,
So the guy that got me a job, he was friendly enough, as a recruiter. I thought, "Oh, yeah, he's alright." So I just had a thought, like, I know someone that's looking for this job. I know someone that's looking for that job, that job. I was like, "I could do this." Like, none of them answer the damn phone. If I answer my phone, I'm ahead of all these guys. So, I spoke to that guy that got me the job, and he sort of gave me a bit of a rundown of how he operates, what he does, and what a terms of business is, and things I didn't have any idea about, sending a contract to them. I just thought it was just business. You send an invoice, being a little bit naive and not using a recruiter before. So, um, I ended up just giving it a crack. Like, he gave me a bit of a, "Hey, if you need a hand, give us a call or whatever. I'll have, if you're looking for a certain way to do something." So that gave me a bit of confidence, and I ended up buying like some terms of business online for a couple of $100, like on some easy legal templates, and just changed a few things around to suit, myself and what I was doing and wording like that. And um, I just rang a few places, didn't really get much luck, and then I had a builder reach out to me saying that, "Oh, we saw your background in construction. We really need a recruiter that understands the industry. We're looking for, a couple of display home sales agents and a, office administrator. You sound like, you've done this before, and let's chat." So they ended up being my first client. And within a week, I found them 2 sales agents, and the next week I found them office administrator, and that was my first 30 grand, just boom, like that.
wow.
I was like, wow. So all the money I was like behind in the house, everything we were just sort of settled like that. And I had a spare like 10K in the back pocket. And I was like,
Wow.
wow, that was like so easy to do. And I just kept going from there. Like, it just sort of gave me like this is like a your calling moment, maybe. I don't know. But it was
Mm,
just things just kept falling into place with it. And I just started like calling people I knew, and then getting referrals, like people I knew that were construction managers were like, "Oh, look, I've given your information to, the girls in the office. They're gonna reach out. We need a project manager or something." Told them that, "I really like you and that, and we've worked together, and what's going on, and you'll find a good person, not just like the same, you know, recruiters that might not understand the industry type stuff." So I just kept making placement after placement after placement, and in the same time, I'm only working a couple hours a day. Like, my day was looking like, I'd wake up in the morning and, still be there on the email and that, but we'd go to the park with my daughter. We'd, spend some time playing out in the backyard. And it wouldn't be till about 11 o'clock when she went down for a nap that I'd start doing any actual work, like, building
wow.
short lists and reaching out to people. And then when she got finished her nap at about 2 or so, I'd spend the afternoon with my wife and daughter again. So I was only working a couple of hours a day, and when you've only got 1 or 2 clients, and at the time, It was more like, I just wanna get by, and this to me, I thought this is just gonna be a stepping stone type things. I'm not putting all my, you know, effort into this. So, we were doing okay for, 6 to 12 months there for a bit, and then I really got stuck into it, and, I just started smashing out placements. I partnered with Seek. They had, like, a Seek recruiter network at the time, so you wouldn't have to really cold call or get clients. You'd just like they'd have openings and you'd just put your offer, like you'd send a message and say, yeah, I'll do it for 12% or whatever they had for. And I don't think many recruiters knew about that. Like the big ones probably wasn't worth their time because, it was only 12%. Some of the big guys probably charging 15 to 18 or something at the time. So I was getting roles for things I never would even thought of, like workshop fabrication managers and stuff like that, and giving them a crack, and it just worked. Like I was like, "Wow, that was easy, that one." Or how did they not find somebody for this sort of role? Like I was just, you know, it was just flowing well, and then that ended, and I got a little bit of a, "Oh, what do I do now?" Because I wasn't really building a client base, besides referrals and that, because I was relying on that sort of recruiter network, and then um I just started, like, smashing out, like, calls and, like, meeting people. Like, I'd just rock up at their workplace and getting to know them. And I think, I feel like I'm a pretty chatty guy, and, I just clicked with a few people, and I got given a role here and there, and, yeah, it just took off again. Like, it was just I never thought, it would work the way it has worked. And then once I started seeing shortages in some roles, and that there was already a lot of recruiters on those roles and they couldn't find anyone, I started really assessing situations, going, "That's not really worth my time. I'm gonna put a lot of effort in. They've already got 4 other recruiters on it, like, I know what's gonna happen there. I'll find someone and they'll say, 'We've already interviewed this guy,' or, 'We've already filled the position.'" So, I started being a lot more picky with my clients, and the roles I would take on, I really wanted them to be worth my while. Like, I suppose I was at a point there where just being solo, I wanted to have, say, 5 really solid roles on that I was working on, rather than 20 crap ones that were just all over the place. So the clients I did have, I could service really well. Um, so that's kind of how I sort of transferred into that side of recruitment. And then I found the site manager roles were the ones I would fill so easily. And I just, instead of, I don't use any job ads or anything. I do a bit of outreach on, say, LinkedIn and, Signal Hire to get people's info. But site managers was one thing I had a phone full of. So I'd just get on the blower, and if they didn't want a new job, they'd know someone that knew someone that wanted a role. So I was kind of just picking up the phone and filling positions like that. And then I really niched into that site manager, side of it, because I just saw everyone struggling with it but me. And I then would just go, "Okay, I've got to get more relationships built here." So I'd get in the car and drive to the new estates that are all getting built, and I'd just go from site to site. There's probably 50 homes getting built now. You just walk on the site, say good day, and chat to people. And, you know, even if they weren't looking, I think that really stood out to a lot of people, that would respect you for not just being another person on the phone or another text or
Mm.
another email that, just ends up in the spam folder. Like, I was meeting guys on site, and having my background, it was pretty easy to build, rapport with people and see eye to
Mm.
eye. And, you know, you we all knew the same, this guy or that guy, or he worked here, and you just build trust, and, click so easily. So, I mean, there was just, there'd be other people that would tell you to, fuck off or something, like, "I'm not interested in that," but that, they weren't for me then, I guess. And
Mm.
you get that when you call people too, so it's not the end of the world. But, um yeah, that's how it just sort of worked for niching down to site managers, really. Sorry, it was a bit of a long answer, but I figured I'd give you the
No,
whole
thank you, mate.
story of it.
It was awesome
Yeah,
to hear, Luke. What a journey
it's
you've been
good
on.
to yeah, it's good to sort of share the journey, just of, like, the how things happen, and just how
Mm.
you just don't realize where you could be, when you actually give something a crack, and um, it's amazing, where I am today. I guess I pinch myself some days, but yeah.
Crazy, absolutely crazy story, man. I just want to go back to the tough moment, because you went through a lot, man. Like you had your daughter, you had like a month
Yeah,
left in the bank. You'd lost your job, or at that point you lost your job, but you decided to put work on hold. I'm just curious
yeah.
what was going round your brain at that time, and were you always trying to maintain a positive mindset? And do you think that's why things started happening? I'm a big believer in like energy and universe, and like,
Yeah,
when you start thinking differently or looking, random stuff starts to happen, and you're like, it starts to lining. I'm just kind of want to go back to that moment and just see what were you
yeah.
thinking at that time?
So at the time, I guess, like I said, money wise, I wasn't too concerned. Like they can take the house, they can take this. So I guess the daughter was the number one priority. And the problem she was having is she was showing a lot of signs of like autism. So
Mm,
um, she wasn't doing what she should be doing for a 1-year-old, and we just thought maybe she's a bit behind, but then the red flags started showing up, like, she'd just stare at the wall, like, in the mirror at herself, just tapping it for as long as you'd let her do it. It was just, like, 1 minute in your head, you think, "I can't wait to do this, I can't wait to do it, I can't wait till she's doing this," and then you're starting to have thoughts, "Is she ever gonna speak? Is she
mm,
ever gonna," she's not looking at me in the eye, she's not responding to her name, and like we understand everyone's different and develops differently, but there was just so much you couldn't ignore, and we were really scared. Like I was heartbroken. Like it crushed me having those conversations with doctors and stuff. It was crazy. So I figured I didn't have a choice, I had to have something. I either left every day again and, you leave home at 6, you're home at 5:36 and, you never see your daughter, and then we had no money as it is. Like we weren't even when I was working and I was on like 130K a year, which sounds like good money, but like we weren't interest rates were so high, like we weren't even servicing our full mortgage, I was only paying like what I could. And, I was
mm,
every month I was getting further and further behind. So we was in a really shit situation before I lost my job. And
mm,
then having all that going on with the daughter, that was just crazy in my mind, like you'd stay up at night. I remember I'd wake up middle of the night crying, like just you'd just be thinking about, you know, what could this happen? We didn't know what journey we were about to go on because it's such a spectrum
mm,
where it could be so bad or it could be amazing. And thankfully, me being home all day and supporting my wife and having that time and money to afford to be able to do things for my daughter and, her getting into therapy and that, she's 3.5 now, and she's progressed so much. Like, she's amazing. Like,
amazing.
she can talk, she's in
Wow,
sentences, like, she's very
amazing.
special, and I wouldn't change her at all one bit. She's so unique, she's autistic, but she's, I guess, high functioning autism. She's very smart, she remembers
Wow.
things and that. So that's really good to for where we were to now.
Yeah,
It's, such a relief to see. There are challenging moments as well, but, like, I guess, for what could have it been, I'd take this any day over some of the other stuff. So, um,
100%.
and to answer your question, I suppose it was just I had to think positive. I had to see the light at the end of the tunnel, and I didn't have a choice but to make something work out. Like, when I was in a position where I was, "This works or I'm gonna have nothing," I guess you just did what you had to do. Like,
Mm,
if you felt like you're annoying someone because you were calling them and calling them to get a placement or something, like, you didn't have to you couldn't think like that. You had to be
yeah,
desperate, and you had to do what you had to do at the end of the day to get by.
yeah, makes sense, mate. And I don't know why my brain just jumps to this, like the position you are in now, where you're making like I think it's roughly 100K a month, versus going back to that dark space. Like, how do you ever have moments where you're like, oh, I can't, like my life has changed so much since that point in time, and like this is crazy. Do you have that kind of? I mean, you just said you have that kind of pinch me moment, Luke, but I'm curious.
Yeah,
That come back
like,
often, or
I think back to it, and I think all that bad shit had to happen for me to get to where
mm,
I am today. Like, you had to, for whatever reason in life, threw that, you know, curveball at me, 'cause I never would have thought in a million years, like, nothing was getting in my mind about being a recruiter. Like, I wanted to be a builder. Like, I wanted to be,
mm,
the construction company. So nothing was preparing me for the journey I was about to go on. Like, it just sort of happened by accident. But like, I look back now and I just think, wow, like that all the stars all aligned. At the time, it seemed like the worst possible things are happening, but they were stars aligning to get
mm,
to the road I'm on now. And it it's crazy to think back and you just, oh, even now, like I see like what's happening and, like, how I've set myself up with a lot of stuff, and I still sit there and go, "Oh god, what if I ever had to go back and get a job or something?" And you start feeling a bit like, "Yuck, I can't do that." Like, I can't go back to sitting in traffic. I don't know
Yeah.
how anyone does it, to be honest, now that
Mm.
I know that there's like, something else is out there. Like, I'd sell fruit on the side of the road if I had to instead of going back to work for someone now, like,
Yeah.
it's, yeah, it's been a crazy journey, but it's like, it's been an amazing journey at the same time too.
Love that, mate. Thank you so much for sharing. What an epic journey you've
You're
been
right.
on. I'd love to jump into. So we've heard a lot about your story, which is amazing. I'm sure we'll touch upon it in sections throughout the podcast. But I'd love to go back to the engine. And what I mean by the engine is like I was thinking about. I was speaking to Sam prior to the pod, Luke, of like how you're getting candidates and then how you're getting business. And correct me if I'm wrong, but as you said you're going to sites, you're meeting candidates on site physically, building relationships with them on site. And then you're getting these candidates and then you're specking them in to companies. Am I right in saying that? Is that the
Yep.
kind of engine at the moment?
Yeah, so, like, I'll always go to someone with a candidate, like, if they're, a current client or if they're a new client, I'll always have something there to give them before like, give them I'm a recruiter, and this is what I do, and this is read my review. Before I get into any of that, I keep everything short, and it's like, "This is what I've got. This a solution to your problem, like, I can get this guy in tomorrow for a chat," type thing. So I keep it short, and I just try and solve their problems. So my sort of machine would be, I always try to have at least 3 people that I know are actively looking or have given me the, "You sort this for me," type thing. I know they're all probably talking to other recruiters too, but I like to believe that they're giving me the opportunity to find them something because they trust me with it. Um, and I try to have at least 3 always. So when I see something, a role advertised, I've got someone immediately. And it'll also come down to what's important to that candidate as well. Is it money? Is it culture? Is it systems? Is it the type of builds that they're building? Do they want to do custom architectural homes, or is it they're just happy to do volume and, do the cookie cutter type stuff? So I always try and have for them as well a solution to them as quick as possible, because with a shortage of, site managers, uh, the longer they sit there, the more chance they're gonna get poached from me by someone else. Because there obviously are recruiters out there that have got roles I don't have, and they might, you know, call and sell that to someone, and that's outside of my control, but I like to just act fast and get it all locked in as quick as possible, really. Um,
Mm,
and that's why I go to site regularly, because if I lose one or make a placement, I need to replace that person as well and find another supervisor, that's there ready to roll for when I'm ready to roll with something as well. So I've always got, like I'd call it a mini go-to-market database on me at all times.
love it. I love how simple your emails are to clients when you have a good candidate. It kind of just highlights the importance of knowing who's in demand and what problem you're solving. Because I feel like, as you say, like you don't need to have this long drawn out email of like, "Hey, I'm Luke." You probably don't. Do you mention the fact that you used to be a site manager, Luke, in the email at all, or do you just
Oh,
literally
no,
put?
not at all.
Yeah, it's
No, I
interesting.
used to. I used to put, like, a background on myself, but I thought, "Oh, this is getting too long, and this person's probably hasn't got time to read all this," and they're
Mm,
probably thinking, "What's this? Does this guy want a job, or is he trying to," like, I just try and say, like, some I don't even say hi sometimes, like, I just say, "So," I'll get straight into it because,
mm,
like, I think now in this day and age, everyone's getting hi somebody, or, like, everything tries to be it's AI, but they're trying to personalize it, and you can just see through like, is this just another one of those emails? So I just try and keep it to 1 or 2 lines, or one short sentence and a couple of dot points or something, like, where it's just this, "That's your problem, this is the solution, and this is how quick we can sort it out. This is a quick, he's done exactly what you're after," type thing, like, um sometimes I get back to you straight away, sometimes you don't hear from them, but then I'll follow up. I'll pick up the phone if I have to, or I'll just go see them. Like, it's one way or another, I try and get an answer out of them, and if they're not ready to act quickly, then I guess they're not probably the client for me either, because there's nothing worse than when you submit someone to somebody and they're just not getting back to you. What's going on? Is it, they're waiting on having a meeting to discuss it, or like, I don't like having clients like that too. I like people that understand that how scarce the market is, and when something's in front of them that's a good solution, they got to act now, get them in for an interview, offer them the role, because their competitors are going to be doing that if they're not. So they're my ideal clients, really.
Mm,
Mm,
love that.
love that.
I find that,
And
again, I just want to highlight, like, you've got so many years of experience in construction, and it probably is a huge selling point. But even with that, you don't need to put it in an email if you have the right candidate. And I just find that fascinating that
mm,
even with all of your experience, you still just focus on one-liners and a good candidate.
Yeah,
So
I
really
try to,
interesting.
definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, Sam, I think I interrupted you. What were you going to say?
no, I just you said you send the NPC email out, Luke, and the follow up is phone, email, and then you just go see them. Am I right in saying
Yeah,
that?
look,
You're
if I
literally
eh,
go ahead.
yeah, if they're close by, say if I'm in the area or if I know, oh, I'm gonna be down there this week or something, I'll call. I haven't heard back. They're not responding to that. I'll just call in the office. Hey, I sent you an email here. I thought I'd come in and say good day, introduce myself. And sometimes
Mhm.
that's the icebreaker. Like you've gone in
Mm,
and someone, you go, oh, look, I've got a million unread emails. Sorry, but yeah, let's chat more. Here's my direct number or something, or they'll just say, show us this now. Like, I have my laptop there and we can chat, talk terms, and go from there. But um, sometimes that works. Sometimes it doesn't. You got a gatekeeper and they're not letting you see or talk to somebody. And here's their email, or email me and I'll forward it to them. And you can read the room really. And
yeah,
like I said, if it's not if they're not operating how I need them to operate, then they're not my ideal client either, because I'm gonna spend a lot of time doing work for somebody that's not ready to hit go and, engage as quick as they need to.
yeah. I've just noticed a few themes that you try. There's a lot of in person meeting, like the site visits, the client. You'll just go and meet them. Like you don't kind of just hide behind your computer a lot, Luke. You can still make a lot of money doing that, but I'm just interesting that you try to go meet people physically as much as you can. It sounds like within reason.
Yeah.
I just
I
find that
find that's
interesting.
just a way to lock people in a lot easier, and it's
Mm,
very authentic as well. Like, I suppose I think back to, if someone was trying to sell my house, if they were just calling me and we could have good conversations, but I think the guy that knocks on the door and you chat with them or something, you're it's real. You're having a proper conversation in person and you're building trust, and I guess it's the face to the name straight away, and I think I would probably go with that person. And it also shows like how far are they willing to go for you? Like they're here knocking on your door and they're not just calling you up and you're not answering, and that's it. Is that how hard they're gonna try? Like, it just shows that they're willing to get out as well. So I try to be like that too, so they can
yeah.
see that I'm not just another guy that's gonna put an ad on Seek or, on another job board and, reach out to my database. I'm gonna get out there and actually headhunt for you, literally headhunting for them.
Yeah, awesome. And I guess it works perfectly for the construction niche, which is slightly less formal as well. Like I'm guessing
Yeah,
it just feels like that would be an industry the way it's perfect to go and meet them because it is slightly less formal than say finance or like where they're all got shirts and ties and they like their coffee a certain
yeah,
temperature and their sandwiches cut
and I
in
think you
squares.
couldn't and I think you couldn't really do that to a lot of other, like, you couldn't just, like, even some of my office roles for construction, which is why I thought I'd niche into site management. You can't just rock up at a building company and
Mm,
try and find their, you know, salesperson or their estimator or something like that. Like, it's gonna be really weird if you're waiting out the front looking for somebody. Where if you go on site, you're just going on site. Like, you can do
interesting.
that. You don't have to have, like, a lot of people aren't on LinkedIn, and a lot of people aren't, they haven't got a profile on Seek, and they're on site. So I go find them because no one else is finding them unless they're doing what I'm doing. And I don't think a lot of people are getting out there on site doing what I'm doing.
Is that one reason you decided to specialize in site managers because they were easier to access in person,
Yeah.
Luke? Or was that just a happy accident?
It kind of a bit of both at the same time. Like, I started making placements because I knew so many at the time that were looking to make moves, and I started making good placements with that. And then I just thought, this is so much easier than all the other roles. And like,
Mm,
I've got, I'm limited to my candidates if I choose to like find an estimator or something, because then I can only see the people that everyone else can see on LinkedIn or Seek
mm,
for that instance. And outside of the people I already might know in the industry and can get referrals for. But there's a whole lot of estimators out there that are probably work for bills that don't have any profiles online, you know? So how am I gonna find them? And like I said, like, I can't wait out the front somewhere and go, "Are you the estimator? Oh, I've got a job for you," type thing. Like, it'd be creepy if you did that. So that's why I figure with the site managers, I can just go to their site, or their phone numbers on the site sign. So if they're not there, I just give that number a call and I'll find out where they are and I'll go meet them there, or I'll find another job that they're on, you know, around the corner, and hopefully they're at that one. But that was my secret weapon, really. And
I know
now
that
everyone's
there's.
probably gonna
Sorry
hear
to
that,
interrupt,
but
Luke. Sorry to
you're right.
interrupt. I know there's some recruiters listen to this that might be like, oh, it's on, Luke's doing this on site. It doesn't work on site for me. So, okay, it's not that. That's why he's so successful, is because he's in this very lucky situation. But what I'm taking from this podcast is doing something that your competitors aren't, like thinking
Yeah,
about what are your competition doing? Do the opposite, do something different, do something that helps you to stand
yeah,
out. That's the message that you can take from this podcast, is like, don't follow the crowd, do something different and stand out. And that will likely help you get better results. Because I just want to touch upon that, 'cause I
100%.
know that's what some recruiters are thinking right now, but I think there's
Yeah,
lessons you can take from like what you're doing, as opposed to like thinking, oh, it's not on my sector doesn't have that luxury of site visits, so it won't work. But it's not the same thing. I don't think you can definitely learn from this. I'd love to go back as
yeah.
well, Luke, to the needle movers, in because you went from kind of dabbling in recruitment and, winning your first 30K to now doing 100K months. So there's been this learning curve, and quite a quick learning curve. And there's a few things you mentioned that had the biggest, or like changes, and maybe you can add to them, or help me to understand which ones are the biggest. But I got niching down to site managers being one of the biggest kind of needle movers, and then being pickier with clients. Is there anything else that you learned or did over the last few years that got you to that next stage, do you think, like in terms of billing numbers?
I found that, like, I think outreach played a big role too, like learning how to engage. Like, if I am reaching out to somebody, like, being specific, having to capture people's attention in the first sentence, not putting "Hi, somebody, hope you're well," like, that just, like, it's already gone. By the time they've read that, you're already deleted sometimes. So I think learning how to communicate to people, either with cold outreach or even warm outreach, is ideal for any industry. And no AI. Like, I try not to use, and like, I use AI, but it's not for, like, I'm not going to set up Claude to reach out to 100 builders or whatever to find me more work or to solve problems, or reach out to someone on LinkedIn and go, I help builders just like you do this, this, and this. Like, learning that, and I used to do that, but,
Yeah,
like,
yeah, I think a lot of
learning
people
that
do. It just
didn't
sounds
get
funny
me
when you say it
anywhere,
loud.
like, when I worked out that doesn't really work, like, like, I found I get messages like that and I hate them, so I don't wanna
Mm,
send that stuff. And it's a new level now, like, even going back 12 months ago, it's not what it was now, like, with, like, how much outreach you get and how much sales stuff comes through every day through your email. I figured I need to stand out from all of that. I need to break away from that noise and show people I'm not just another person that's promising you something, and you'll probably never hear from again, or you're gonna do exactly what everyone else is doing. I worked out that I've got to do something else and show them what this guy that has 15 years in the industry, why he's different than, you know, my competitor that's been a recruiter for probably 15 years and has 100 staff, type thing. So I need to show them why I'm still better than that. And that's what I've learnt to do.
mm, love that. I mean, it's such an important skill, isn't it? It's like you need to be able to get people's attention, through outreach. I mean, I guess there is in-person visits, but for the majority of people, it's going to be phone, email, or LinkedIn. And so you got to get really good at one or all of those channels to be a good recruiter, I think. And so I'm guessing as you said, your kind of epiphany with outreach was simplifying, Luke, right? Is that the biggest thing that you learned from the outreach process, is making it as short and sweet as possible?
Yeah, and I also learnt too, like, I would notice that the more important someone is, the less they've got to say. Like, whether they're responding to you with, like, even if they're a client and they're like the building manager of a massive company, and you're sending them you're talking through email, it's just 1 or 2 word responses, or a short sentence, "Yep, get them in tomorrow," or something, instead of, "Oh, yeah, I've looked at this person, they seem pretty good." It's just an answer straight up, like, and I noticed that pattern. The
Mm,
more important someone is, or the higher up they are, the less they've got to say. So I figured I've got to be like that too, because the less they've got to read probably as well. So I just
mm,
started doing what they were doing, and also educating people too. Like, I think a lot of people, it shows when I'm just following up with somebody, and instead of going, "Hey, just touching base, I know you're busy, blah, blah, blah," it's, "Yo, um, you're gonna lose this guy. Do you still need such and such? You're gonna lose them if you haven't got him this week," or something. Like, I just try and, like, stand out with that too. Like, your follow-up
mm,
has to be like, "Hey, like, if you're fucking around, like, your competitors aren't, so
mm,
this guy's gone," like, and I think I get response to that, like, when you're talking to somebody like that, I think, I don't know if that earns a bit of respect with somebody, but then it's just they reply, like,
mm,
so I think just learning that, like, it's hard to say, like, that works in my industry. I suppose if you're in finance or talking to accountants or lawyers or something, doing that, it's probably not gonna get you very far, but I guess that's just what works for my niche, is you gotta be you gotta be hard to somebody and show 'em a bit of tough love sometimes, because, um, no one's looking for, like I said, "Hey, I'm just following up, just bumping this back to the top of your inbox" talk, like, that's just what everyone else does.
mm. Yeah, really, I really find the psychology fascinating with what you said there, which is like busy people give you short, sweet sentences. Like they don't have time to give you kind of long, drawn out emails. I find that fascinating, just like the simple psychology of that and being
Mm,
straight to the point. I think that is actually the common theme between a lot of the billers that we've interviewed, is their emails are always super short, super sweet, straight to the point, letting the candidate do the talking.
yeah.
Follow up I find interesting as well, Luke. So I mean, the principle of what you're doing works, and it applies again. That what you're doing applies, which is FOMO. It's like fear of missing out. That tried and tested psychological trigger to get someone to take action, which is, hey, you could lose this great person. What are you going to do about it? So again, that can absolutely be applied to almost any area. But what are you? Can you just go back to what are you saying in that email? Can you just clarify what you're saying in that follow up email, just so I can put it in my memory bank?
Like, a follow-up email would kind of be like, say I've sent them already, like, here's a anonymized CV or something of a candidate, or if they're a client and I've sent them a candidate and everything's there, and I'm not getting a response in, say, 2 days or something, I'll just send them a message, be like, "Yo, what's going on with this role? You're gonna lose them. If we haven't got a decision this week, you're gonna lose them." And I'll just leave it at that.
Mm,
Well, do you
mm,
want me to get them in for a chat? Do you want me to tee up a time? Sometimes I'll end with a
yeah,
question.
mm,
Simple, like, no, like, you just gotta tell them what's gonna happen, more like,
yeah,
"Hey, I'm just following this up. I know you're busy. Um, when you get to it, let's talk more." This is what's gonna happen if you don't get back to me
yeah,
tomorrow or something. Like, they got another offer, and you're not gonna find another person like this, depending on the situation. Like, I just pretty much tell them how it is, really, and, yeah. A
love
lot of
that.
my clients, like I said, I've been, point now I'm fortunate to, like, pick and choose clients where, none of them really work to a point where I have to follow up. Like, if they need somebody, I send them through. Their reply is usually, "Let's get them in for a chat," or, "I'm gonna give them a call tomorrow. Do you want me to send the invite, or would you prefer to do it," type thing. That's what I get usually now from a lot of my clients, which is great because, um, like I said, nothing's worse than when you've got someone good and you send them across to somebody, and it's just crickets, because you know that by the time they get back to you, and sometimes that can't be helped if they're busy, or they're short staffed or something. But at the end of the day, like, I guess I'm trying to run a business too, and if my name's like, they don't remember Prime Build, they remember Luke, for these
Mm,
candidates, sorry. So if I lead them on with a role and it goes nowhere, and they remember the recruiter that stuffed them around, like Luke, like because I'm not a big company that's got 30 or 40 recruiters working for me. It's Luke, and we're on a first name basis most of the time. Most of the time to these candidates. So yeah, that's
Mm,
pretty much how I operate, really.
interesting. I just want to jump into pickier clients quickly. I've got a hard stop at 9. What were some of the patterns you noticed, Luke, between the clients that weren't going to make you money versus the ones that are good to keep? What do you think, mate?
Um, I would say the ones there that I decide not to work with. They just wouldn't get back to you really. Like that, everything was, "I'll get back to you tomorrow." "Oh yeah, I'm gonna call this guy. I'll let you know what they say," and you wouldn't hear back. You're always chasing them for an answer, whether it was an interview, whether it was a letter of offer, whether it was like they've had an interview, you need feedback, you got to give it to a candidate. I just found that there's a lot of people that act like they operate like that, and then
Mm,
it shows a lot about the business too. Like that, I think when you're talking to a candidate going, "Oh, sorry, I should hear today." "Oh, sorry, man, it'll be tomorrow. Definitely I'll follow up." When you're talking to the candidates like that and they're looking for a job at this place, they're thinking, "Oh, man, is this what it's gonna be like working there when I need answers on site or whether I need something, I need software, whatever it may be." Like, is it gonna be, I'll get back to you," and then they never get an answer. So I try not to, like, for not just financially for myself, work with people like that. It's more like to have my name with associated with somebody like that. Like, I'd rather have clients that I know that are on the ball. When they say they're gonna do something, they're gonna do it. And that goes for candidates too. Like, I see that with them when someone says, "I'll send you my resume tonight," and they don't, or when they say they're gonna do this or do that, or, um, "I'll send you my references for you to call today," or like when they're not doing that either, that shows a lot. I think it paints a lot of a picture very easily of someone, just these basic little tasks
mm,
throughout the recruitment process. I suppose it paints a picture with them as well. So,
mm,
like I said, like it's both sides. Like if a candidate wants my help and they're not willing to apply themselves, like to show them how keen they are, like to even just get me a resume when they've said they're going to get it. And I know people get busy, but when I've got to chase them up 2 or 3 times, it's like, man, like what are you doing? Like I can't help you if you're going to act like that, you know?
Do you have like a one? What's your judgment? Because as you said, like you might have just caught them at the wrong time, and they send it the next day or a couple days later, and then they're fine for the rest of it. Where do you draw the line? Do you have like a specific process, Luke, where you're like, okay, I'm out now? Like what happens then?
Like, I think I'll read the room a bit, like you can if you could see this person's just under the pump, and that's probably the reason they want to leave is they're just got too much on and they've got a bit stuff going on at home, and you can understand be a bit lenient than that. But when they're just, you know, oh yeah, just seeing what else is out there, want more money or something. I notice everyone's getting more than me these days or whatever. And they're like, "Oh, yeah, here's my email, send me your resume," or whatever it may be, and when they don't, and then you follow them up the next day, "Hey, you're gonna send it through?" "Yeah, mate, sorry, I'll get to it tonight." Nothing happens again, and you gotta follow them up again, and sometimes maybe I'll follow them up again or something, or I'll give them a call and just see what's going on, and they still say it's gonna come through. It get to a point there, I suppose, this guy's just all talk, and maybe he just
Yeah,
wants to know that there's something out there for him or something, so I just don't waste my time with it. Later down the track, if they sent me their info and they wanted to do something, maybe I would work with them and help them out. But I think if that's how they're operating to me, and then I'm representing this person and getting them a role with somebody who's a good client of mine, like the last thing I want to do is have to replace somebody as well, or sell them someone that's like shit. I suppose like they're not doing what they're supposed to do every day, and then like
yeah.
I said, they remember you could have 20 good ones, but you give them a bad one, and that's all they remember, at the end of the day. They'll only forget the bad things, not the good things.
Yeah, 100%, mate.
But yeah.
And with clients, it's like a two. You kind of read the room, but if it takes too long to chase them up, will you just send them an email saying, "Hey, sorry, we're not the right fit. See you later," kind of thing?
Yeah, pretty much. Like,
Cool.
I just let them know, like, "Oh, this ain't probably not gonna work," like, what's if they're not getting back to me, I just say, "Oh, look, we've lost them," like, "We can't if you need this person, you gotta be a lot quicker than that in this market." I try and educate them too, politely without being a prick, but,
Yeah,
some wanna hear it, some don't, they'll never change, but, um you've just I suppose that you've got to, like, and for their own benefit, like, if they're even if they've got a job up and they've got a really good candidate that's applied, like, they've gotta get straight onto things, like,
Yeah.
you can't just let a good person, like, sit there and think you're gonna be okay next week, because if you think they're good, everyone else thinks they're good, and, they've gotta also be prepared as well, like, I try and educate them. You gotta be prepared for a counteroffer, because if they're good enough for you to want them, 'em, they're good enough for where they are to, like, to keep them. So,
Mm,
they're gonna try and match it, they're gonna give them a better offer, and you gotta be prepared for that as well, 100%.
yeah. Awesome. Love it, mate. Thank you.
Any more
Just one last
questions?
question, Luke, before we finish the pod. It's been a really great session, so thank you so much, mate. I just
You're
want to
right.
figure out because I remember I went back to your story of working like 2 hours a day, and I was like, God, that'll be the life, working 2 hours a day, earning loads of money. Um, but I know you're in like the top percentile of billers now, like you're in the top echelon of billers for recruiters, which is amazing. What is the average working day for you at the moment? Are you a 9 to 6? Are you a 5 a.m. to 7 p.m.? Like, what's an average kind of day/week for you at the moment? I kind of want to know, and I should be asking this more to top billers, like what to expect in terms of hours, if you know what I mean.
Okay. Yeah, okay, so I get up in the morning, I used to get up around 5 and that, but now it's more like, I stay up pretty late now, so it's probably about 7 I get up, out, you know, coffee, brekkie with the little one and the wife. I walk the dog after that and come back home. By then, I've had probably a few calls while I'm on the walk or a few emails coming through, so quietly, I'll action that or make a few calls here and there if I have to. Um, Spend the morning with the wife and daughter, hopefully, that's, on a good day, we'll get to go to the park or something, and it's not till probably around 10 o'clock or so that I'll pull out the computer and start getting into it. Probably by about 11, I'm on the phone and making my calls of what I need to do, and then, when the little one goes to sleep, I'll go out for a couple of hours if I'm going to site and do what I gotta do, and the afternoon comes, and if I've got any calls lined up in the afternoon, I'll chat to people, because a lot of guys, like, they like to talk after work, when they're not, their phone's ringing nonstop while they're on site. So when they're finished work, I'll chat with some people that I've either spoken to that day or, on site, or, um, people that are getting back to me. And that's like, I guess every day is a bit different. I don't really have any set, I do this from this hour to that hour. It's just, I go with the flow really. But it's pretty crazy, to be honest, like, to what I do, like, you know, I talk to a lot of people, but it's not crazy, like, I'm not working, 16 hours a day, like, I try and only work probably 5 hours a day, really, like, I'll jump
I
on
love that.
when the little one goes to bed at night, I'll jump back on the computer and I'll set up stuff and be prepared for the next day, so I stay up till around midnight every night. From I'll probably work again from around 9 to 12, just sort of getting everything sorted for the next day. So I might work, 6 hours a day, really? So it's not
Well,
crazy, and it's not
that's
a
not
lot of
crazy at all. That's very
there's
relaxed, brilliant,
yeah.
relative. So the money you might need to replace that clip, Luke, with you saying an AI saying, "I work 12 hours a day," or something like that, just to give people hope.
Yeah, no,
No, but
I
that's
really
awesome, dude. I feel like we need to get you on the
I'm
pod
busy.
again to explain how you're
Yeah.
doing that with 6 hours a day, because that's
Yeah, it'll be cool. Like, I'd love to give you a full breakdown, but yeah, it's
yeah.
not. I'm not like, I see some people, and I don't know, like, if it's real or not on LinkedIn, but you see some people and they've got like 100 calls they got to do today, and I've got to get my 50 whatever, like, their KPIs done. I'm like, man, I don't do none of that. Like, what are they doing? Like, they should be making millions if that's what they're doing. They're putting their time into the wrong stuff, I think. But
Mm,
again, that could be an industry they're recruiting in where you can't just have the luxury of what I'm doing. We just meet people, like, they've got to go to, like, seminars or events or something to engage with people, and that might only be a handful of times a year, if at all, more than
mm,
once. So, um, I guess what they're doing is probably a lot different than what I'm doing, and I suppose some other markets, they've got to be on the phone a lot, and it's heavily cold calls or whatever, because that's just the nature of the beast with some places. But for what I do, it kind of works, and I wanna scale, like, and have a bunch of people working for me too, but, um, I just try and think, what are they gonna do? And, like, I haven't got a huge, like, setup where it's all automated and, like, to a T. Like, I'm sure someone would come in here and go, "Oh, man, your CRM's a mess," or something, like, I use Loxo, and, it's okay. I guess, like, I don't really use a lot of that stuff anymore because, like I said, I go out on site, and if it's not that, I use email, so I don't really have any. Like, I'm not using programs for what they're made for with like sequencing and stuff like that. Like, I tried it a while ago and it didn't really work for me, so I don't use it. Like, I think I could get away. I don't even have LinkedIn Recruiter, like Recruiter Lite or anything. Like, I just have
Wow.
LinkedIn.
Wow.
Like, and
Interesting.
I use Signal Hire. Like, it's so minimal. Like, I have barely any subscriptions with stuff. Like, I think it's just like Loxo, which I'd probably, like I said, I won't renew. I'm not using it for what it's for. Like, it's just Gmail and LinkedIn and Signal Hire, really. That's all I use,
We
man.
definitely
Like,
need another pod discussing how you do that, Luke. Because
oh
I have to
yeah,
say, out of all the billers we've interviewed, hitting your numbers, you're definitely an anomaly with the minimal amount of software and the hours you're working. Like, that's definitely not normal in a good way. So you're definitely doing something,
yeah. Oh,
and obviously
and it's
maximizing
crazy.
every task you're doing is moving the needle. Is what I'm thinking, which is really cool and very
Yeah, and
noteworthy.
it is nuts. I was actually thinking about it the other day. Because I remembered. Oh, when was it? It would have been like Friday or something last week, or was it Monday? I can't remember. Just recently, I had a day where I was like, man, all I've done is like take phone calls, and I was like, shit. Like, I was like, I've worked it was an 8-hour day. I'm stuffed, Like, I was like, man, I was just thinking, how do people do that every day? Like, with that much talking and that many, like, I was stuffed. Like, I was like, wow, I'm so lucky to like where I just do what I've done and like build what I build. Like, even like this week alone, like, like, I don't want to sound like I'm bragging. Like, it's what, Wednesday, we're 48K or something this week I've done.
Wow,
Nice.
So
Love
crazy,
that.
mate.
crazy,
Yeah,
Luke,
absolute
awesome.
crazy. Like
thank
I
you.
just
I'm sorry, mate, to cut this short.
wild.
We've got 1 minute left, and me and Sam have got a hard start.
You're
But
right.
say thank you so much for coming on the pod, mate. I am absolutely convinced that we need you on again because it's been such a great
Yeah,
session. But just want to say thank you so much for your time. It's been amazing learning from you, and we really appreciate you coming on the pod today.
really appreciate it, man. It's been awesome.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to this episode. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to subscribe on YouTube and Spotify. Tune in for another episode next week, and we look forward to seeing you again very soon. Peace and love.